Good evening, people. It is Thursday, May 19th, 2022. Welcome to the Keeping It Real Conversation show with your host, Camila, aka Sunshine. We are live on Facebook, my Facebook page, which I'm going to right now. So you guys can join in. Also, we are live on Twitch. We are live on Twitter. We are live at the YouTube channel, which is the name of the show, Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine. Please subscribe, like, and share. Get somebody involved in the conversation. We are live right now. Again, I am biased because I always have good guests on my show. I'm excited not only because of that, but because I get to learn about people, something that they have to share with us, to enlighten us with. All of that good stuff is happening right now as we speak. I'm trying to go on on the Facebook channel right now to get it to go live right now. And I don't know why. So while we're doing that, I have a great person on the show that I met, maybe has it been a month ago?
Just about that, yeah.
I met him through my aunt, Vanessa, who previously wrote a book, and she told this young man about my writing skills and about the book that I have coming out. And I was invited on his platform, which is the Book Slam in the what is the class? It's not called
On
classroom.
Clubhouse.
Clubhouse. I don't know why I want to
Mhm.
say class.
That's fine.
So ND Brennan is here tonight to let us know what he does, what he do, what his abilities are as far as helping young well, we all not young authors with when it comes to our dreams and getting real feedback as well as promoting us. So again, I want to welcome him to this wonderful platform tonight. So again, welcome ND Brennan to the show.
Good evening. Good evening. How you doing?
Can't complain. I cannot complain. So how are you this evening?
I am fantastic. I am absolutely fantastic. Glad to be here.
So again, this conversation comes with again through my aunt who told you about me,
Hmm.
and I end up having the pleasure to reading a chapter of my upcoming book,
Hmm.
Guys Design. I'm getting back to the blueprint on your platform in
Yes,
the
ma'am.
Clubhouse.
Yes, you did. You did a fantastic job.
So I am so
Fantastic job.
happy to have you here to let the people know what you're doing on Clubhouse.
You asking me to tell them?
Yes, tell them what you're doing on Clubhouse.
Okay. Okay. I am Indy Brennan, the host of the Book Slam on Clubhouse. I the Book Slam on Clubhouse is essentially a platform where every week 7 to 10 authors from around the world come on the platform and perform live reads on the show. So think of Death Poetry or TED Talks or Snap Judgment, except this show is specifically for authors. So, authors they don't have a specific or a designated platform. Now they do. One of the things about authors is that while there are tons of millions of great authors, a lot of them, when it comes to the performance side of it, are lacking. And this is a great platform to upgrade or to perfect that part of your presentation. Because when you speak, people when you read, people buy books. That's just how it works.
I, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? What didn't you know?
I didn't know that I guess now I want to say performing your book, but reading to other people or getting the face to the book
Hmm.
is another way for people to actually buy your book. I didn't know that.
Oh no, when you perform your book, people buy your book. Think about children's books. When
Mhm.
they go out and they go out to Barnes and Nobles or something like that, they'll read their books in front of a whole bunch of kids. And if the
Right.
kids get excited, guess what the parents do? They
Go
get
buy
ready to
the
buy the
book.
books. So if you're reading a book and it is that compelling or that uh, 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 thought provoking or that it touches you that emotionally, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get the book. If for no other reason than to support that author.
And that I've like I said, I've written books before, been a part of other books, but we've never did any
Live
like
reading.
yeah, live reading.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so being on there at first for a person that actually done it, I was nervous at first, but then when I started reading my baby
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
a room full of strangers,
Right.
it became emotional to me like, oh my
We've had
God.
that a lot. Hmm.
Oh
Hmm.
my
We've had
God,
that a
I'm
lot.
really, I'm really doing this. And to hear the immediate feedback from reading
Hmm.
made me feel as an author that I was onto something,
Yeah.
that I was on the right track, that what I was feeling when I wrote it is the same feeling that they're feeling while they're listening to me actually read.
Right. Right. I tell everybody it's kind of like when you're reading, you're driving the car. All
Mhm,
of us are in the car with you,
mhm.
and we're going to go wherever you want to go. So if the ride is exciting, then guess what? We're going to get excited. If the ride if it makes you shed tears, a lot of us in the car are going to shed tears. So when you read, that's what you're doing. You're giving us that experience. That's one of the reasons that I do audiobooks because it's much more engaging than just. And don't get me wrong, I'm a reader, so I love to read, but it's just much more engaging. And nowadays, we just don't have the time to read as much as we'd like to, even for us that like enjoy reading.
So with the audiobook, does the author have a choice on the voice, or is it actually the person actually doing the reading?
It's funny. The authors actually have the choice of hiring a voiceover actor or reading it themselves. In a lot of cases, when I'm speaking with an author about their book, I'm listening to their voice
Yes.
because it's funny. Someone bought, and I love the guy, and I love what he does. But someone bought a book about 2 weeks ago, the audiobook from TD Jakes,
Mhm,
and they're all excited about getting the book from TD Jakes.
mhm,
Then they play the book, and it's somebody else. They were
mm.
so disappointed. So when you read your book, it's kind of like reality TV. It connects you with the audience a lot more intimately. So all of a sudden, they feel as if they know you a little bit more versus having somebody else read it. So it's a great way of building up your brand. That's what I suggest to a lot of people. Read your book. Now, I've had people that have strong accents that are from other countries, and their accent is, the English is too broken. In cases like that, I'm going to suggest you might want to get another reader, but a voiceover actor. But in a lot of cases, I'm recommending that they read it themselves. That way, the reader gets a chance to get to know them. When you read your book, you got emotional. Okay, someone else reading your book may not get emotional like that. But when you got emotional, we all got emotional. Now we're all of us on there trying to look for some tissue. You know what I'm saying? So that's what you give us when you read, and it compels us to want to at least support you.
Yeah, that made sense because the chapter I read in the book um was one of the most important parts of the book that the Lord had me to really get into speaking it.
Hmm.
And the question I posed to myself was, if this is mainly getting back to the blueprint and, controlling your voice and speaking those things as though they were, why is this chapter 6 and not chapter 1?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then he
Hmm.
explained to me, you gotta start with the foundation and work yourself up.
Right.
Now, 6
Right.
is where you learn, the different tools that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And he explained, well, this was happening in your life until I told you the importance of your voice in speaking those things as though they were, or changing what you see by what you
Mm-hmm.
speaking into the
Right.
atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
Everything the chapters after explains itself. And I'm
Right.
like,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
okay.
That's exactly right.
So again, when I'm reading, I'm getting excited because at the same time, I'm still working these things out while I'm writing this book.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And so I'm all like, okay, I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm all of this all balled up in one, trying to get these words out and really put the passion behind it. And he said, listen, just open your mouth. I got
Mm-hmm.
the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And for me to hear um people of all ages say that they can relate to what I was talking about
Right.
only on one
Right.
chapter.
Right. Right. Right.
Only one chapter.
Mm-hmm.
um it made the world a difference to me. And again, I was like, I need to talk to him, not
Mm-hmm.
only because of this opportunity, but because again, this is something that I've been in writing for since I was in elementary. I've
Yeah.
never heard that before. I've
Yeah.
never heard the concept about auto books, nor I've heard of them, but it wasn't like some that's a must. But now that you
Oh yeah.
explain it, it makes sense because again, TD Jakes has a wonderful voice, not only
Mm-hmm.
because of he was
Mm-hmm.
preaching, everybody knows his voice without even with having your eyes open to see him. And then
Right.
when again, you know how he speaks, his dialect and all of these things, you want to hear that in
Mm-hmm.
reading or audiobook of his own book. So I get
Right.
that the person who actually bought the book, listening, wanted to hear his voice, and there was a disconnect because that ain't TD Jakes.
Right. It's like going to, what is it? Keeping up with the Kardashians, turning it on, and it's somebody else representing Kim Kardashian. You don't even want to, it just throws your whole psyche up. TD Jakes is just that prominent of a personality.
Influencer,
And
yes.
right, and as an author, whether you're large or small, that's essentially what you're doing. You're building up that personality, that brand, that character. And you got to remember, when you write in your mind, when you wrote your book, there was a rhythm, there was a voice that you heard as you were writing. In fact, I guarantee you, 9 times out of 10, when you were reading that book back to you as you were writing it, you were
That
reading it in
wasn't
a certain
me.
voice. That's right. That's
Yes.
what I'm saying. You're reading it, there in because writing is it's very
Guys, I'm not sure what's going on. He's, he's stuck right now. We can't hear you. He's gonna come back on. Give it a second, you guys. I hope you guys are really enjoying this, especially for those who are writers, um, those who want to write. This is a very good conversation to have tonight with a guy who has been a writer, a poet, all of these type of things, and he hosts um, a book slam once a week on Clubhouse. So again, we're gonna try to see if he's gonna get back on to finish out the conversation. Again, I'm excited that I actually had an opportunity to go on his platform on Clubhouse. It's called the Book Slam, and read a chapter of my upcoming book called God's Design, the Blueprint. Um, Hopefully, it will be out this summer. And yeah, I had a great time. It was awesome time. The room was full with people I have no idea who they are from all over the world listening to the book, and so many people responded by saying that they are excited and would be supportive of the book once it comes out because of the idea of the information that they got by reading the book. So I'm gonna reach out to him real quick. See if he can get back on. Okay, so he's actually in the process of rebooting his computer. So again, I hope you guys are enjoying the shows that we are bringing tonight. Um, for your listening. Again, I appreciate all those who are supporting of Keeping It Real Conversations with Sunshine podcast all over the world. I appreciate it. You don't have to, but you do anyway. I thank you. Again, I try to bring light to all those who have a platform, who have something to offer to the people. We're definitely looking to doing more as always. We have some more good people coming up and for the rest of the year always. So of course, we all know that technology has a mind of its own sometimes. So um, it happens. It's all good. It's all good.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I just can't see you.
I'm on my I'm on my phone right now.
All right, there you go.
I'm letting my computer reboot.
Okay, that's fine. So, we were at the point of again explaining to the people about the power of the voice, the power of putting yourself in a great position to have sales based off of the reading of your book. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I was explaining while you were away that even the people with the constant or um, instant feedback of they're waiting to see the book come out and actually want to support because of what they
Mm-hmm.
heard.
Exactly. 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 Um, there's a poem I wrote probably about 10 years ago.
Mhm,
It's called The Psalm of Success.
mhm,
And it's funny because I wrote it for someone else because at the time she was going through a lot. So I wrote it as something because I'm very big into words, very, speaking things into existence. That's just me. I don't, I work not to say the wrong words. For example, within a conversation with me, I will avoid the word problem. You will hear me say challenge because if you think about the word problem, for what it is, a problem sounds like something that's almost impossible to overcome. A challenge, on the other hand, sounds like something that just by its very nature it can be overcome. It's nothing but a challenge. You just have to figure it out. So it's words like that that I avoid. Trying versus wanting or doing. The Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. So it's speaking things literally, speaking with purpose, Now, don't get me wrong. I'm speaking casually with friends or family. I may say it, but for the most part, I'm very aware of the things that I say. But in the poem, it was designed to. When I've given it to other people since then, I tell them read it as if it is as if you wrote it. Read it as if it means the poem. If you don't mind me, I can say it while I'm waiting for my computer reboot. I can recite it real quick. It says, "My hope is in the potential, because sometimes it's all you have left. The words become instrumental. Each heartbeat is like the bass line, and each breath, the treble clef. Fear of failing scores through me as a sound becomes my own. But I now acknowledge that even in this moment, as others came into the turbulent wind, though I have been shaken, I've grown. Tame me, I am a wild animal full of life, basking in the essence of a prospectively perpetual plethora of possibilities, precipitated on the perfecting of my potential finally realized. Disguised in my humility while ability resonates through me, in my every assertion, everything in me screams, I will do because I want to. Despite my adversities, I epitomize diversity. In life's overwhelming contest, I soar with the eagles and rest on the clouds. Shooting for the moon, then the moon becomes my objective. My directive does not change simply because I've reached the stars. But if it is conceivable, it is feasible. To be blessed with the thought is to be empowered with the ability. In me is the power to do all things as the bass beat beats and the treble plays. And the more you say that particular poem, the more you begin to embrace it, the more you begin to adopt those words, that sentiment. And whether it's that or something by someone else or something that you wrote yourself, words can infuse you with a power that, I mean, it's almost like God sent. Words can infuse you with a power that you may not be able to get from anywhere else. Les Brown, I heard him once say that the most intelligent conversation he ever had was with himself. So sometimes we don't have other people to motivate us. And when you need motivating, you want to go to, you want to be able to call it out of yourself. And through your words, you can do that, whether it's a book, whether it's a poem, whether it's just some affirmation that you recite.
That is so true. A lot of things um, I have learned over time, especially in the last couple of years, the importance of the words. I tell this story all the time. My father passed away from kidney failure.
Mm.
And one time he passed on the table, coded, and he came back and he said, God had a message for you. I'm like, for me? He was like, yeah, you. And it was write the vision, make it plain.
Mm-hmm.
The week my dad passed, he called and he said, he apologized for not being a better father to me.
Mm.
I'm like, Dad, you the greatest. What are you talking about? You like my superhero. He said, no, I let you choose something that I knew that's not what you was gonna do.
Mm.
He said, for years you were going to, all these after school programs saying that you was gonna be a computer engineer, and I knew you wasn't. And but I never stopped you. He said you were determined to do that. He said, but I knew you was a writer in elementary school before then. And I was like, I never thought that writing can bring you wealth.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when he passed, I said at his funeral, that I will go back to the message that I got from God Himself was write the vision, make it plain. And you can't do anything without writing it down. Um, and going back to writing is wealth is not only am I a writer with books, I'm a writer in song. And so again, I never thought that writing would bring you wealth. And being a part of two other books, this one being one, and I have one in the pocket. It's already written. Just got to be published. I'm looking back at it again that um, bestsellers, speaking those things as though they were, are all words of wealth, are all wealthy things that can change your life at any moment. And speaking that book, chapter 6, Speak It, has changed, pivotal, have made my life pivot from now what I just accept to now if I don't like it, if it ain't going the way I want it to, I can speak it and gotta change it.
Mhm.
And so now that I understand the power of our words, when we were young, we used to, words don't mean nothing. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but yeah, that was a lie.
Mhm.
Words do have power
Yeah.
and words do hurt.
Yeah.
And so, we have lived in this bubble or this false fantasy thinking that word curses don't exist. Yes, they do. And so now that we understand, and that I'm connected, and my aunt and all these people that are actually writing down these words and putting them out there for other people, it's not my words that mean anything. What I've learned, what I've seen, what I've heard, what I've experienced are not for me. They're for somebody else. So whatever I write down being in my journey, guess what? Somebody's gonna pick up this journal and be like, hmm, I don't want to go through what she went through. I'm gonna
Mhm.
learn the lessons by what I'm reading on paper
Right.
or what hear in an audiobook. Now it makes all types of sense because now I can, especially with social media, I can put the face to the words now. I can put the face to whatever I thought or imagined in my head. Now I got the words to actually to make it come alive, to manifest. So again, you have played a major part in a lot of people's lives being on the book club. I mean, on being on Clubhouse, being a part of the book slam. So how did you come up with that?
Book slam was actually I tell a lot of people it was actually it was a thing that we were just, for lack of a better way of putting it, just testing out. Um, a a business associate friend, actually, I'm going to switch over to my computer. Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
I can. I can hear you.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, you didn't say it. I didn't know I could hear you. A business associate and friend. A lot of people used to tell me to go on Clubhouse because they felt like I would do well on there because of my business background. So they were recommending that, because I also do business development consulting, business strategizing and so forth. So they were telling me to go on there and speak to the business rooms. And I went on there and it was okay. It was cool. But then someone one day, I was talking to a friend of mine and she made a comment. She said, we should let's see if we can create a room. Just arbitrarily, she tried to do it because Clubhouse had changed the rules. At one time, you had to go through Clubhouse, vote, have them vote whether or not you could have a room and all the other stuff. So they had just changed it. And she went in and tried to do it. It didn't work. I went in and I tried to do it. I did it and it worked. So I said, hey, I'll just call it the Book Slam. And that's essentially how it started. From there, we created one other room, but from there, The very first book slam, that same person, there were 5 of us on the very first one. And I don't talk about the first one a whole lot. And she was teaching us how to use, I didn't know how to use Clubhouse and the moderators and all that type of stuff. She was teaching us how to do it, me and some of the other moderators. So we did that. The second show that we had, I believe we had 863 people show up. It was just crazy. It was amazing because I'm scrolling down, you know how Clubhouse works. And I'm just scrolling and scrolling. I'm blown away. And I'm like, okay, this can't, maybe I logged into somebody else's room. But Clubhouse, the Book Slam has been a great platform for a lot of authors who have not been able to, that don't feel comfortable speaking. It's a community. Like you're reaching out to me and your aunt referring me to you and so forth. It's a community. Because I tell people, if you wrote a book, and I say this to anyone that's thinking about writing a book, anyone that's on the verge of writing a book, millions of people out there want to write a book. Everybody has a story, but very few people take the time, have the heart, or the level of commitment required in order to get a book done. So for you or me or some of these other people to have completed that book and published it, it could be complete garbage. But to have completed that book, that means that we're all in a very elite class. We've done something that many other people feel is impossible. And we've achieved something that tons of people want to do, and they just won't. So I always tell authors, if nothing else, you should applaud yourself for that, because you have actually achieved the impossible. Mm-hmm. But that's essentially how the Book Slam started, just on a whim. Since then, even with the question how it flows, we did that just happened. And call it God, call it whatever, but it just happened. The questions that I ask every last author, I've been asking that since day one. Nothing has changed. But it's been a fantastic ride. It really has. We're in our 2nd season now, and it's great. It's great. I love it.
Wow. So as a author or creator, what was your inspiration to write your books? How many books have you written?
I published 3. I only talk about 2 because one of them I'm in the process of rewriting. I have the top 51 business hacks for 2021, which is basically a business resource. If you're looking to run your business a little better, if you're looking to, figure out how to, fire somebody, how to hire somebody. There's even one chapter in there that talks about how to get a $15,000 wardrobe for $1,500. So there are different techniques that I put in there in order to help your business run more efficiently, much more effectively. It's for entrepreneurs, but it's also for business professionals. It's for anybody that's in business, how to start your business, all that type of stuff. And then the second book is What If White People Were Slaves? That's the one that gets the most attention. That book is basically roots in reverse. Imagine it's between 1810 and 1830. You and I are slave masters. We have slaves. We own the shops, we own the houses, but instead white people are the slaves. The stories, two people that narrate book 1, because this is the first of a series, are 2 women. One's a former African girl, slave owner, and the other is a white former slave. And they're telling the story about they're going back, taking you back in time, telling the story of how it was when they were little. There's an excerpt that I often play that tends to be, it's a number of, I guess, pieces in there that people tend to gravitate to. But that's essentially what it is. White people are slaves and people of color are the slave masters. So like I said, that's got a ton of attention.
So were you about to ask me a question?
Was I about to ask you?
Yes.
No. I was just answering yours. Yeah, that's pretty much how that worked. What if white people were slaves? You asked me about what inspired me to write it. in the late 90s, I was in a store purchasing a new car here in Atlanta, and or in Atlanta, and it was a nice car. And when I went in there, I used to go to. I've never been into cars like a lot of dudes are. I've never really been into cars. This was a Mercedes Benz. So anyway, I'm at the. I used to go to the dealership, and I used to say to myself, because we were building a business. I used to say to myself, "Hey, when I can afford this, I never really wanted it, but when I can afford this, I would have hit a certain benchmark." Well, I went into the dealership one day. It's still here to this day. I went to the dealership one day, and they still happen to be there. Guy showed me a car, one that I had been looking at. That one didn't work out, but then he showed me an S-Class. I sat in the car, and I mean, the seats felt like they just hugged me. The steering wheel felt like it had been crafted for me. It was just a beautiful car. So anyway, make a long story short, we went back and forth. I decided to get the car. Did all the paperwork. The credit was impeccable. The business was booming. Everything was good. But this particular day, I come from corporate, and back then, I mean, I don't have hair now, but back then, I actually had allowed my hair to grow out, and I had cornrows. One of the reasons I did that was because I came from corporate, so I was used to the low cut, trim face and all the other stuff. But the reason I did that was because I noticed that a lot of white people would look at us that have cornrows and dreads and so forth, and just believe that we're hood. We're gangster, gang member, whatever the case is. So I let my hair grow out. The day that I went there, again, I just happened to go there on a whim. I had on a vintage T-shirt, something like what I have on now, and I had on shorts, cargo shorts, and some Chuck Taylors, and my cornrows. So I went in, did all the stuff. Me and the guy who was helping me was Middle Eastern. He was a brown skinned person. So he and I hit it off. We're cool. So once everything wraps up, I've been approved. He's telling me when the car is going to be in town. They're going to give me a lender, the loaner, the whole thing. Everything's done. He goes to the back and he says, either my manager or the owner, I can't remember which one, wants to speak with you. I said, okay, cool. I just thought she was going to come out, congratulate me, and do the whole deal. Well, she came to me, and she said she was white, and she began to ask me, about the business. She began to ask me what role do I play? What clients do I have? How long have I been doing it? She starts, basically, she's profiling, trying to find out if I'm really doing this, if I'm some dope boy. So I got agitated because I knew what she was doing. And I said, you know what? I didn't even want the car. Keep your car. I want the paperwork. Give me my paperwork back, because I signed all the documents. She told me that she can't give me the paperwork. I said, give me the paperwork, or I'm gonna act like the stereotype that you think I am in front of all these folks. She instantly gave me the paperwork. I got my car, drove off, and I ended up getting a car from another dealership. It turned out that the two dealerships were owned by a sister and brother who couldn't stand each other. So it just kind of worked out. But the point was, when I was driving off, the first question that came to mind was, I wonder how they would feel if that was them. How would they feel if they walked in and they were asked these ridiculous questions after being credit approved, after everything being taken care of, and you're still being probed? How would they feel if they walked into the elevator and we rushed to the corner because we're afraid of them? So that's where the idea came from. I didn't write it. My daughter and I didn't write it until 20 years later, but that's essentially where it came from.
Well, I know we have been through situations all over the world with the race card.
Mhm.
I've had my own experience, but it also taught me to um, not only look at the other side of it, and some people learn behavior is what I call it, learn behavior. Um, and some things I look at it too that some people abuse their authority. Um, and at the end of the day, these are one of the moments that we have to teach the lessons that we learn. Um, One day, I don't know when, um, these moments and incidents and um, they will change. It will probably flip flop. I don't know, but at the end of the day, some things make us think. Some things make us sit back and be like, what if this happened? What if that happened? And at the same time, are lessons learned. Again, some of us, especially in the South, especially as Black men, in some instances, Black women, um, brown, whatever, we do have issues that we cannot ignore. It happens all the time. And at the same time, like we have the learned behavior, we we take it in stride and we tell people that's around us. We tell people nowadays with social media, it's the cancel culture. Oh, you want to play that game? Now I'm gonna do this. And so again, I apologize for that incident that happened to you years ago. I was faced with the Ku Klux Klan, like literally, um, so close to me I could spit on them, and that was in '96. And um, I never thought they didn't exist, but I thought it was over, and it wasn't.
No.
Clearly, it wasn't. Shotgun, the whole sheets and everything, and when you look at a college campus, and we all looking Black, brown, everybody that wasn't white looking at each other like it's the wake up call.
Hmm.
I wanted to go home. I got on the phone. I don't know why I didn't call my parents, but I called my grandma. And her words was, "You're not going nowhere. You got to stay and prove a point." And so, again, I, I think in school, um, they used to show the Mississippi Burning movie.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And all of a sudden, when we got done watching that and Roots, all of us was heated, heated. Ooh, let me see the next white person. Ooh, let me. And it was like at the same time, you can't be like
I can appreciate what you're saying. And I always stress to people, I don't hate white people.
that. Oh,
Okay.
I know you don't.
Because I mean the reality, I mean, every last one of us has a little, has all types of stuff in it. So to hate them is to also hate ourselves to a certain
Mm-hmm.
degree. Um, but there are a lot of people out there. The reason I wrote that book wasn't, I believe that movies, books, and television shows, we live
Mm-hmm.
through those. When we watch the Avengers, Black Panther, okay, we're doing this, all throughout the movie. When we watch a TV show, when we watch a game show, when we watch a football game, we become a part of that. So by writing "What If White People Were Slaves," and switching the roles when people read it, and I've gotten a lot of reviews and responses back from it. When people read it, it gives them an opportunity, whether they like it or not. That gives them an opportunity to walk in our shoes and vice versa. And that's, to me, one of the primary ways that people will learn. You can't. I always tell the story of me asking other Black folks, "How do you feel about the people in Somalia?" Everybody looks at me crazy.
You look at me crazy because you're not Samoan. Well, when you can't expect people that are not intimately connected with your experience to understand everything that you go through unless they go through it. There was a white woman author on the book slam whose husband was Black. Her husband goes to the bank to try to take money out of the account, a sizable amount. It's their account. His name's on the account. They would not give him the money. They called her to verify that it was him. They call her and she's livid because she knows they're only doing that because he's Black. She gets in her car, she rides up there, she's cursing folks out. Going back to your point, he's fine. He's not throwing a fit. He's like, I've been through this. I know how it is. But she said on the book slam, she said, I would not have believed that even happened, except for the fact that I went through it myself with my own husband. So what if white people were slaves? I tell people, I want you to get the book, but don't just get it for yourself. Think about people that you could get the book for and give it to them, help them if you believe they could benefit from the experience. Because when you look at, when they read the book and they see the castrating, they see the lynching, and this isn't Black skin, but it's white skin. You know, they see their children being raped. This isn't Black skin, but it's white skin. All of a sudden, it hits a different point. Now it's starting to make sense. What happened in Buffalo just a couple of days ago, what's really unfortunate is that so many of us, we look at it, and the first question we have is, number one, if the shooter was Black, he would not have walked away from it, period. And there are a lot of people of every race that would agree with that. To say otherwise, 9 times out of 10, it would be, you'd almost be lying to yourself because that's just the state that we're in. But again, if we can begin to establish some type of dialogue, if you can actually begin to understand where I'm coming from, but in order to do that, again, it takes a situation like the woman I just described. It takes you actually listening to these stories. It takes you switching things around and then thinking about, you know what, if that was me, I could understand. All of a sudden, people like the people that were killed in Buffalo, or all the other incidents that have happened, George Floyd, which still rings heavily. All of a sudden, those things they can't be blown off because these things are happening every other day. And that's the challenge. I was in the Clubhouse the other day and they were trying to compare Buffalo to the situation, to Kevin Samuels' death. And I told him, I said, I hate that, they were talking about his character and how why aren't Black women talking about Buffalo as much as they're talking about Kevin Samuels? And when they came to me, I said, honestly, Kevin Samuels, when you're comparing it to Buffalo, I hate that he died. He's a human being. I hate what happened. I didn't particularly care for the way he addressed a lot of women. But and I don't think his intentions, it's just me personally, and I'm not trying to get in the middle of all that, but I don't think his intention was all malicious. I think that he was trying to teach help a lot of women to realize you need to quit, you need to raise your standards, begin to believe in yourself and understand how much value you bring to things. He didn't say it like that, but I think that was part of his purpose. But in comparing him and his death to Buffalo, you can't. Kevin Samuels, one man, he passed of natural causes. What happened in Buffalo is going to happen again next week. It happened again days before. And the very fact that we question whether or not, we don't know what's going to happen to this guy. And if he was a cop, the chances of his getting convicted would even be less. So it's actually us getting in a room and starting to have those type of conversations. Critical race theory, all that type of stuff is just ridiculous to me. It's as ridiculous as a conversation about abortion, this many years later after Roe versus Wade. I can't tell you. A room full of old men cannot tell you have no authority to tell you what you can do with your body. Period.
Right.
But I digress.
The moment, like I said, with us being creative writers, platforms, all of these things, we have to control the narrative. One thing that I want to say I'm really happy about is making sure that the black men or men that I have on this show are very productive men when it comes to the all around man. Not just a job, but he's a father. He's taking care of his kids. If he's married, he's taking care of his wife. He's doing all the things that we will want our sons, our fathers to do. And so, again, when it comes to women, um, when it comes to successful women on the show, same thing. We didn't been through the ringer. We didn't been through all that. We didn't been through the abuse, the rape, all of these things. And guess what? We're still making it.
Yeah.
So those moments is why we're here. We control the narrative. Even what happens around us, through us, about us, whatever. We still have the moment and the power and authority to speak it and change it. That's what we're about. That's why we have the creative ability to do. So again, in those moments, we have to continue to have the conversation, yes, but we control what goes out. We control what the end game is going to be. No one else has that power over us any longer. And so that's why I'm excited to not only talk to my elders um, and learn, get to open the book, listen to the audio, do all of these things that our some of our ancestors never had a chance to get. And so I push all of that. And again, I enjoy having you here tonight um, to bring in the provoking conversation that a lot of authors sometimes don't know um, and don't know who they are when it comes to this world. We're not just making up or imagining these things for no reason. They're what's been given to us as a charge to write and put in the atmosphere is for a reason. Sometimes we might not see it in our own lifetime, but our children's children will. That the words that I say, um, written in black and white, will always stand. Nobody can take that. Nobody can erase it. Because guess what? I'm official. I'm official.
Agreed.
So again, with the Ready Writer pen, I know what my purpose is. And not only am I writing it in word, I'm writing it in song, I'm writing it on my life. That whatever chance that I have, whatever platform, if this goes to TV, whatever, I'm not gonna change. I'm gonna be better, a better version of me every day. It's a part of me, and I'm writing it and I'm speaking it. Period. So now that we have younger writers coming up, and some of them that don't even know that they're capable of writing. Now we have the platforms to do that, to encourage them to be writers, to encourage them to write laws, write changes. Because we in the room. We in the room. It might have took us forever, but we in the room. So platforms like the Clubhouse, platforms like this, platforms that we haven't been on yet, we control it. So that's what we need to do. Encourage everyone to be creative. Write your story, write your history, write your past, whatever it is. We need that survival story. We need that those who have been through abusive relationships, both male and female. You made it. Tell us.
That's right.
If you've been through the burning, Listen, my favorite book, and my favorite movie used to be The Burning Bed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you know the story, you've seen the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and it used to come on every year, at least once a year on TV. She went through some stuff trying to be a mother,
And then
trying to
he
go back to go to school, and getting beat, and your in laws know that you're getting beat and won't help you. We didn't think that she was gonna burn them, but guess what? She'd have had enough. But
mm-hmm.
again, peace is everything, and some people got to do something different to have it.
Mm-hmm.
But at least at the end of the day, we had the story to watch, and now, like I said, this pen is mighty.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say I tell everybody, and I'll tell all of your audience, the internet, I've always called the great equalizer, especially here in America. When you talk about being able to write our narrative, people of color in particular have never been in the position they're in today. Never in American history have we been in the position we are today. So I tell a lot of people, if you want to start a business, if you want to start a podcast, even with the audiobooks, I tell people the reason that you do an audiobook, it's not just to sell the book to people to listen to, but an audiobook also sets you up for Netflix, for Hulu. All of a sudden they hear the context of your piece. And you know what, that might make a good series. That might make a good, show. So that's why I look at all the people on Instagram, how the money that so many younger people are making, on Instagram. So if you have an idea for the first time in American history, unlike any other time, you can execute it. The internet is not about the color of your skin. It's not about what school you went to, what neighborhood you grew up in, or who your friends are. The internet is simple. How fast can you get it to me? Is it reliable? How much does it cost? That's the internet. So I tell people, just if you can do something, do it on the internet. Do it on the internet because it's a platform that where you do have complete control. I'd say 99% control.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as what you were saying, I agree with you 100%. Anything that you want to do, if you set your mind to do it, do not rely on the excuses. Don't hide behind the excuses. Don't hide behind your history. Don't hide behind, what happened to you yesterday. On the Book Slam, I've heard so many terrible stories, primarily by women who have been traumatized by men. But at the same instant, these are also women that had the audacity, as you stated, to put it on paper. And now some of them are New York Times bestsellers. So if you have the desire, if you have the dream, then actually turn it into something. Mm-hmm. You have the power. Nobody can stop you. Like they used to say, nothing's between you and that opportunity. Nothing between you and that goal except air and opportunity. You now can do it, and you can do stuff for so much less than you've ever been able to do stuff before.
Absolutely.
So, I encourage everybody, if you have the dream, go after it. Go after it like you've never gone after anything, like your life depends on it. Put everything into it. I mean, go after it like LeBron goes after the rim, or a football player goes for the goal. People used to say that Jordan practiced so much that when he went up, he was able to switch because he didn't see the opposers like we might be intimidated by. He just made the adjustment. LeBron does all the greats, they do the same thing. So when something comes at you, you just make the adjustment. That doesn't mean that you're not supposed to do it. People get so religious. God's telling you aren't supposed to do that. That's not always God. If God gives you a vision, he will also give you the provisions to fulfill it.
Absolutely.
whether it's through people, through information, through another opportunity.
Absolutely.
So I just say, go for it. Go for it. Whatever it is. I don't care if you're black, white, or whatever the case is. Just go for it. Write your books,
Do it.
create your businesses, and do something that you've never done before. Be great.
This is the biggest season of being you.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody can beat you at being you.
Mm-hmm.
When you have been in the place of being controlled by others and now you have freedom, you'll never put yourself in that predicament again. So, live life out loud, big. Um, God gets the biggest glory out of my life of I could I could show you better than I could tell you.
Oh, I know.
So
I know.
yeah, these dimples are real.
Mm-hmm.
So again, um, this is our season. So like you said, do it. Whatever it takes, just do it. Even if you have to be scared. I ain't say fearful. I said scared. There's a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Keep doing it. Put yourself around positive people that will push you
Yes.
be a better version of yourself. Um, so even if you have to walk alone, if it's just you and God, so be it. Keep moving forward. So again, I appreciate you for coming in tonight and encouraging the people about the audiobook, about the book slam.
Oh, can I say one other thing? Can I say one other thing real quick? People, don't tell everybody every idea you have. I don't care if it's mama. I don't care if it's your best friend. Sometimes I always tell people, keep your circles tight when you're executing something, because some people will discourage you and they don't even mean to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, when God gives you an idea, a vision, sometimes you have to walk that path alone.
Absolutely, because even in that, um, if you tell you to go left and everybody else telling you to go right, I'm going left.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time to explain while I'm doing what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get it, that's your business. I know what I heard. So again, a lot of lessons learned from being hurt from the past, but again, those were lessons I learned. So again, keep shining, keep doing what you're doing, keep encouraging people, keep doing what you're doing, keep writing those words on the black and white. Eventually we'll see it in the movies, eventually we'll see it on the radio. I don't know. Just keep doing what you're doing. Again, thank you for coming through tonight. Again, our show believes in 6 degrees of separation. I met you through my auntie, who man, the words for her is I can't even explain my auntie,
Mm-hmm.
but she is a big portion of how I am the woman that I am today. Even through my struggles, even through my experiences, my auntie planted some things inside of me as a young girl, and yeah, it made a whole bunch of sense. I thought back then it was foolishness, but she yeah, she taught me a lot of stuff. So again, I believe in 6 degrees of separation. You're one person away, one advice away, one help away from where you need to be in your destiny. And it's been proven over and over again since this show started. Again, thank you for coming out. I'll send
Thank
you the
you.
link tonight. Again, thank you, you guys. This is Thursday night, May 19th, 2022. I am done for this evening. I won't see y'all until next week. So again, thank you so much. And we are out of here.
See you later.
See ya.